How many of us were growing up as kids wanting to be doctors? Only to realise as we're growing up that being a doctor is bloody hard work and most of us will never get there. Well, lucky for us, we have games like Rush M.D where we can fulfill those fantasies as doctors and nurses, and let's go heal some patients. You've just parked your Mercedes in your designated car spot. You're exhausted after 18 holes at the local country club, but it's time to earn some money. So let's get those scrubs on, wash those hands, and let's get into Rush M.D. In Rush M.D, you play as doctors and nurses, which are represented by sand timers. In this cooperative dexterity game, which is played over four-minute rounds, you will admit patients, diagnose different illnesses, medicate the patients, maybe perform some surgery, and then hopefully discharge them all feeling better. But let's hope we don't, unfortunately lose a few patients along the way, because that is bad news for our hospital. There are two types of patients. The first one's general patients, which just need a bit of medication and they can then go off on their merry way. But the other patients, they're a lot sicker and they're gonna need to go into a hospital bed. Now, those patients are gonna need one of two things. They're gonna either need to be diagnosed for different illnesses or they're gonna need some surgery. First one, diagnosis. So what we're going to do is we're playing this through different mini games. So in the base game of Rush M.D, you're going to have 4 mini games with 4 different diseases that you're going to diagnose along the way. These mini games include an MRI where you're balancing a sand timer, X-rays where you have to search through different X-ray cards to find the correct one, autoimmune disease, we have a blood exam tile and you have to get the correct pattern of white and red blood cells. And lastly, infectious disease, where you got to go through different culture tokens to find the correct culture. Now, this is just the base game. If you have Rush M.D ICU, the expansion, or the maternity and dental expansion, look, there is so many more mini games that you can add to this core game. Now that we've diagnosed the condition, it's time to administer some drugs. This is where the nurses are going to earn their money. They need to make sure that the pharmacy's all stocked up, the blood bank's all stocked up. They'll administer the drugs to the patient and then let's get them discharged out of the hospital. But not every patient is that lucky. Some will need to go in for surgery. Now, surgery is where doctors and nurses are going to have to work together. They'll be transplanting organs, infusing some blood and giving some more medication to those patients. But the trick here is we are using tweezers only. It's a sterile environment. It's surgery after all. Look, we don't want our grubby hands all over those shiny new lungs. We've just discharged a whole bunch of people, but what if we have some patients left over that we didn't heal that round? Well, those patients are going to get sicker. They're going to go severe, critical, and potentially die. And as you can appreciate, dying isn't good for your reputation. Now, how do we actually win the game? When you play the game, you're going to pick up an objective card that you're going to be playing for that game. That objective card is going to give you a certain amount of reputation points that you have to earn, plus also an amount of medical points. Medical points are basically errors that you can afford to make during the course of the game. Every time you administer the wrong drugs, stuff up the surgery, don't heal a patient in time, you're going to lose those error points. And when your error points get down to 0, you lose the game. The other way of losing the game is not getting enough reputation points by the end of that 4th round. So that's the quick and dirty of how to play Rush M.D. But look, we are just touching the surface with that explanation. There is so much more in this game. There's epidemic cards, research cards. If you got the Kickstarter promo, you could have got a helicopter, which means you can fly in patients from a rural hospital. There's a solo mode, and also if you got the Rush M.D ICU expansion, there's also a campaign mode. David Turtsey, the designer, has thrown the kitchen sink at this game. So now you know how to play the game, let me give you my thoughts on the game. For theme, look, anyone who knows me knows I love a good hospital game. I've actually got quite a few in my collection. Now, Rush M.D is the follow-up to Kitchen Rush. Kitchen Rush is the exact same game, but set in a restaurant. Now, what makes Rush M.D so thematic? I think it's mainly due to all of the different game boards. They all represent different areas of a hospital. You'll be diagnosing illnesses, performing surgery, running a pharmacy, running a blood bank, having the different hospital beds. There's just so much there, it just makes you feel like you're inside of a hospital. And look, Artibia Games has made it even more thematic. You can download some hospital sounds just to have in the background to make it feel even more like you're in the hospital. Art and components. And if you are like me and you went all in on the Kickstarter, well, there is an overwhelming choice in components. Base game alone, you're going to have the sand timers, the beds, the organs, the medication, the blood, the syringes, the tweezers. The list just goes on and on. Add in the expansions, and it is bonkers the amount of components they fit into this game. For art, they've gone for a cartoony style art, almost like a video game, and it works quite well in this game. And look, lucky for me, I really like the art because there is lots of art in this game. Numerous game boards, and all of the cards have different unique art on them. Now mechanics, and there's lots of different mechanics in the game thanks to all the different mini games. But the core mechanic in this game is worker placement through these sand timers. You're going to use these sand timers, which represent the doctors and nurses. You're going to flip them over so the sand's running, put it on a worker placement spot, then you can take that worker placement action. Now, you can't move that doctor or nurse until that sand timer's run out, then you can flip it back over, pick another worker placement spot, and crack on with more actions. Replayability. And I class these sorts of games as shallow type games. Shallow as in the fact, lots of fun, lots of laughs, quick gameplay, but no real heavy crunchy decisions that need to be made throughout the course of the game. The replayability in this game is in its uniqueness. You can introduce this to families, new beginner gamers, perhaps maybe a few cheeky drinks and have a games night with your friends. You're not going to go back to this game and want to beat your previous high score or anything like that. The replayability is grabbing this game out, playing with new people and experiencing the fun on their faces every time you play it. Final thoughts, and the best way to summarize this game is it's an experience. It's an experience I want in my collection. It is so unique. The way the game plays, the 4-minute rounds, they're so hectic, so crazy, all the different worker placement spots, all of the different components, all of the different mini games you can play along the way. And you know, unfortunately, some people are gonna die, and that is the sad part of your hospital. Look, it is a crazy fun experience, and I highly recommend this game. Now, would I want to play this game every night? No, not a chance. But would I want to pull this game out every now and then with new people and bring it out again with my family and have fun? Yes. And that's what this game's about. It's a dexterity game that for the right people, you're just gonna absolutely love playing it. Now, the elephant in the room here is the game boards. There is so many game boards, and when everything is laid out on a table, you're gonna need the world's biggest table to play it. It's a table hog for sure. So just something to keep in mind. The million-dollar question. This game or Kitchen Rush? For me, maybe Kitchen Rush just slightly ahead, but look, they're pretty damn close together. So pick your favorite theme. I reckon add one of these games to your collection and you can't go wrong. Now that's my final thoughts on the game. Let me know in the comments below, what are your favorite types of hospital games and what is your favorite Rush M.D or Kitchen Rush? Look, I think they're both very crazy, unique experiences, and I'd love to hear your thoughts on them. Now, also don't forget, if you're an Aussie viewer, I'm also running a competition for a copy of Mary Posters or Treasure Island. All you gotta do is comment on one of my videos, be a subscriber, and you are in the running to win those games. Anyway, that's it from me. Look, I hope you enjoyed the video. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Remember, every single like, every single subscription helps me grow these videos out to more people. Anyway, I'm Hogs. This is Board Game Bangers. Till next time, laters.